Well, hello there, everyone. It is I, baby Crone. I am here really quickly to talk to you guys because I am very excited because apparently there is a solar storm that's coming that if you live in these 17 states I'm about to name, you will be able to see northern lights. Usually you hear about those at the poles, like in Alaska. Of course, Alaska's on this list. However, I am here to give you the rundown and all the information. So that way, if you are in these states, you can figure out if it's going to be visible where you are. So, this solar storm is going to be Thursday, July 13th at 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. local time. So I guess that means wherever time it is where you are, anywhere between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. is where you're going to be able to see the lights. And the aurora lights will be visible in Alaska, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, North and South Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, New York, New Hampshire, Vermont, Indiana, Maine, and Maryland. Of course, Canada and Vancouver was in the list as well. However, these are the places where you'll be able to visit the Northern Lights because apparently the storm is going to be so strong, it's going to go a little bit south on the planet than it normally does. That's why for here, like in Maryland, we don't get to see Northern Lights. And I'm like, oh my God, this is a phenomenon. Northern Lights is like something you see like in New York. I just heard New York was having Northern Lights, I think just like at the beginning of this year or something like that. This is crazy. And you're probably wondering, well, why is this so important that baby Crone had to bring it to our attention? One, it's cosmic and energetic and about astrology or astronomy, whichever way you want to take it. And that is up baby Crone's alley. So of course I have to keep you guys up to fresh and what's going on, especially because Lady Crone and I are going to be talking about Lionsgate, which I feel like is very important to talk about for this solar storm, because I feel like this is just the Kickstarter to kick it off, because Lionsgate starts on July 28th, and that's a lot of eights when you think about it. But the Lionsgate is all about the 8 energy. But never mind. I am jumping ahead because I am going to be doing a separate video on everything you need to know about the Lionsgate, both numerology wise and astrology wise. On top of Lady Crone and I will be giving you some sun magic that you can do to enhance your energy during this time, because it is very important. And I think this solar storm is just the start of it. So the reason why it's so important is that the KP index, which determines the measurement of the disturbance within Earth's magnetic field, the KP index goes from 1 to 9, and this solar storm that's happening on Thursday, July 13th, is like medium powerful. It's like ranked between a 5 and a 6. So that's very powerful, because anything above a 5, they said, is called a geomagnetic storm, which means that there's a temporary disturbance in Earth's magnetic field caused by a solar storm. Now, you're probably wondering, how does this happen? Well, right now, the sun is highly active. And by highly active, I mean its magnetic field. If you think about it, I'm going to explain the difference between a North Pole and a magnetic North Pole, because this is something that I had learned in physics and it's very fascinating. So to go back, let's go on to Earth, because Earth is very easy to understand before we start talking about the sun. So for the Earth, whenever you look at a compass, the compass points north. Well, actually, that is not the North Pole. According to the Earth, our North Pole is really the South Pole. However, when the compass points north, that is magnetic north, which points towards the North Pole, what we call the North Pole. However, it really is the South Magnetic Pole, which means, if you think about it, opposites attract. So the north point on a compass is going to be attracted to the South Magnetic Pole, which is why it's pointing in that direction. And to us humans, we're just like, well, then therefore that's our North Pole, because the compass points north. However, magnetic wise, it's completely opposite. The South Pole the North Pole is magnetic south. So I'm going to be jumping back and forth between these terms because this is very important to understand. So why is this very important? Because the sun has its own magnetic field, and oh, this is very fascinating. It's on a cycle. Every 11 years, the magnetic poles flip. So if this is like the north, like, okay, well, since this is considered the North Pole, this is going to be the magnetic south, and this will be the magnetic north. Now, every 11 years, they go whoop, like this. Now, of course, it's not that dramatic. Over the process of 11 years, it slowly turns. And then after that happens, in another 11 years, it goes back to where it was. And in that 22-year cycle, they call a Halley cycle. Yes, Halley, who discovered Halley's Comet. Now, the Halley cycle is the very first time being ever documented, so it doesn't have a cycle number. Or the solar cycle, which is the 11-year cycle of when the poles are switching, happens every 11 years, and that has been documented 25 times to be exact. And apparently there's a difference between an odd cycle and an even cycle, and I will break down that even more. However, for the solar cycle, for it to be in cycle number 25, it had to go through a previous cycle 24 where the poles were not aligned to Earth's poles. However, this is why the 25th cycle is very important. It's because the magnetic poles are aligned with Earth's magnetic poles. So that means, like I said, our North Pole is magnetic south. So therefore, our magnetic south is aligned with the sun's magnetic south. That means everything that flows in energy with the sun eventually is going to flow right into the same energy as the Earth, because they're aligned. And also, if you think about it, opposites attract. So the south poles are going to be sorry about that. The poles are going to be repelling each other. So another way, there's going to be this constant beef and disturbance, which is why we're having a geomagnetic storm, because we're not at the complete 11 years. We're at the halfway mark, or almost at the halfway mark. 2024 is supposed to mark an even more powerful solar year, because that's when it's reaching the max and the poles are just getting to their turn and marinating in their spot. And then once that happens, the following 5 years is just the resting point and it relaxing and getting it all situated. So this is very important. Our sun is going through a change and Earth is feeling it. And why are we being able to feel it? Because on July 13th, when this solar storm, and you're probably wondering, how does a solar storm happen? This is a very terrible example. I am so sorry, but basically the sun is like throwing up in a sense. It's just poofing out energy, and this energy is very strong because it's magnetic waves and magnetic energy, and this energy can attract things and repel things, and it goes through space. And Earth has its own magnetic field, and the magnetic field for Earth is like our shield, our defense mechanism. So if any of this solar wind or solar debris or magnetic fields come towards us from the sun, we can block it off like, you ain't getting me today, nope. But with our magnetic field down, we're open. Something hits us like, and we're just like, oh my God, we're getting all this energy. This is why this is so important, because the Lion's Gate opens on July 28th, and if our magnetic field is having a temporary disturbance, that means cosmic energy is being able to seep into Earth unlike it has been before. I'm sorry if you have seen my nails change through the video. So this is why it's very important, because throughout this is very important because when looking at the poles and looking at how the energy works with us, we want to be in harmony with this energy, because it's cosmic energy coming through our barrier, our shield, our protective source. It's almost like a virus entering the human body, except as we always keep preaching on this channel, it's what energy you allow within you. So you have to be conscious of your energy and what is around you, but also what are you consuming on a daily basis, whether it's earthly or spiritual food, whatever you put in your body you're going to become, essentially, because energy has to go somewhere. So because this cosmic energy is coming through right before the Lion's Gate is starting, so therefore a portal in my in my little head is seeing a portal opening for this very important moment, because apparently the Halley cycle, back to the completion, because a Halley cycle is two 11-year cycles combined, because the Halley cycle is when the poles return to their original state. And I had to think about this because Google doesn't tell me what the original magnetic state of the poles are for the sun. But they said this year, or this cycle, the sun's magnetic field aligns with Earth's magnetic field. So therefore, if it's returning back to its original state, then its magnetic field matches Earth's magnetic field. So that way, if I know that our North Pole, which is magnetic south, I will also put a picture right here. You will see that the sun also has a north and south pole, and therefore the magnetic south is where the North Pole should be. So therefore the Earth and Sun are basically in unison, which is very important for the Lion's Gate, because the Lion's Gate, another star from another system called Sirius, that's the name of the star, is aligned with our sun. And the Sirius star is like our higher being dimensional self, because it's a star in a different planet. And our sun is like our physical self, even though it's still a sun. So therefore it's still like esoteric, this is really wrong, but heavenly energy. But we still call it earthly because our Earth is a part of this solar system. And if our solar system is this sun, then this sun is Earth. Yeah, so our earthly desires and earthly beings line up with the Sirius higher spiritual self. However, if our sun is currently in a chaotic state of changing and renewing itself, basically by switching its poles, then therefore during the time that it aligns with the sun Sirius, that's going to be a very transformative energy, and therefore, as well as Earth's barriers temporarily down, we're able to get more of that our sun's energy. And if our sun is connected to Sirius by like aligning with it, then we're also by proxy getting that energy from the Sirius star. So therefore this Lion's Gate is like very important, like so important. And I hope I was able to explain this right, because it's very interesting that the solar cycle has 25 cycles. Therefore, it's been discovered way longer than the magnetic poles flipping on the Earth, which happens every 22 years according to Halley. And we're also seeing the first completion of the Halley cycle since it was discovered. If the cycle's supposed to end, it started in 2019 and supposed to end in 11 years. So that would be 2030. So 2030 minus 22 years, I will tell you when that was discovered, when Halley discovered it. So 2013 minus 22 years. So that's around 1990, 2000. So this is very freshly new, and this is very scientifically revolutionary, because this is something that's being firstly documented, and that's also what I think is very important for the Lion's Gate. Now let me just double check and make sure I covered everything. Yes, so we have to be very mindful during this time. And I hope I get to see the solar flare, because to be able to see northern lights in Maryland, and like I don't have to travel to Alaska or New York maybe to even get a rare chance to see it. The fact that it's coming to me is very powerful, but also at the same time, it's alarming, because that means if this is literally classified as a geomagnetic storm, it's on the baby scale because it's at 5. But just think about it. If it was any more powerful, just to bring you guys to up to speed on why magnetic fields are very important, everything is run by magnetic fields and electricity, basically. So technology is literally just gonna, it's not gonna like explode or anything. Well, it could if you don't like turn your power off. So like if there was ever like a real bad geostorm coming that's going to shut down electricity and communication, the government would tell us, because if they don't, when the geomagnetic storm comes, like I said, it's like a shield, and this is very powerful energy. So if the shield is gone and like our magnetic field is temporarily destroyed because of a huge, like a scale 9 or 8 magnetic field coming towards us, not only is our magnetic field going to be gone, but there's going to be way more toxic solar cosmic energy that we do not need in this earth because we are shielded from it. So who knows what's going to happen to our bodies. But by technology itself, it's just going to go, that's what's going to happen, and then it's going to, and you're going to see like smoke. It's basically going to be override and overloaded because of the magnetic field. It's just going to be so strong. So we're not there. We're at a 5. We're at a baby geomagnetic storm. But if next year is supposed to be more powerful, I hope we don't get to that point, because there's also rumors that the Earth magnetic fields themselves need to be rotated and flipped, and we're apparently 3 times past the due date of our magnetic field flipping. So like, I'm not sure if humans have a reason for why our magnetic field is not flipping, because that's concerning. Why is our magnetic field not flipping just like the sun? The sun is on its cycle. Why is Earth behind its cycle? And when it really does flip, are we really going to have extreme consequences and volatile? And if so, will us humans know how to be able to protect ourselves and our valuable technology, and also be able to communicate with each other during that time? So with that being said, I hope you understand the importance of this geomagnetic storm, and B, how does it connect to Lionsgate, but also C, the importance of a geomagnetic storm and how you have to be careful of, literally, they call it space weather. Yes, space weather can affect Earth and Earth's weather and Earth living conditions. So really, we have to be mindful of space, and it's not just asteroids and aliens that we have to worry about. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy this, and if I am able to see some aurora lights, I will show it to you guys. And hopefully you guys get to see it wherever you are, if you're in these 17 states, and you can comment and we can have a conversation. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoy your time, and I gave you guys a real good heads up. So with that being said, I will talk to you later. Bye! Sunflowers!